WikiLeaks first came on the scene, they did really important things. I have no doubt that what Chelsea Manning revealed was important. It's still not nearly talked about nearly enough. The United States is responsible for many civilian casualties in Iraq and Afghanistan. Why are we still in Afghanistan? These are things that the public needs to know. And there also is just a structural level, way too much classification, and it's a self-licking ice cream cone inside the U.S. intelligence apparatus. Now, WikiLeaks, I'm sure, could have taken greater care to protect sources and assets, and that's not just spin. That's a very real concern, right? But there's no doubt that in their initial iteration, in my view, WikiLeaks was a net positive for the world. They exposed corruption globally. They exposed governments. They even exposed, I think, Scientology. They exposed the United States. They did a lot of work. Julian Assange got involved in a case in Sweden and blew it up. Eisenhower, I think, said something like, if you can't solve a problem, make it bigger. And that's what he did. Julian Assange, and there was a lot of thought at the time, including by people like me, that, if he goes to Sweden, he's going to get pushed to the United States. And there's no doubt that people like Joe Biden were calling him, I believe, a digital terrorist. They were talking about killing him. There were real concerns. But also, these were real sexual assault cases. And there is nothing in Julian Assange's behavior since that makes me... my confirmation of my suspicions about Julian Assange's conduct are sort of regularly confirmed by what he puts out. Now, he's also trying to save his own ass. He's stuck at the Ecuadorian embassy. And what WikiLeaks has become, I'm not sure. I don't know about their level of connection to Russian intelligence and all the rest. I know there's a lot of stories. I know it's very murky. But I do know that it seems pretty obvious that he thought, and organizationally, they thought that probably with Trump in a White House, they would be in a better position. And I don't even know if that's necessarily his politics, though I do think he has some odd paleo-con leanings and some sympathies for some very far-right figures, whether it be Trump and I believe also in Belarus. So that's always been kind of in the environment of WikiLeaks. And it was clear during the campaign that there was, at the very least, a synchronized interest. But we did not know until now that Donald Trump Jr., brilliant kid that he is, was in fact DMing with WikiLeaks. This is a report by Julia Ioffe, broke this. And we're going to just read a couple of exchanges that happened during the campaign. This is last summer. Don Jr. and WikiLeaks. First is, this is from, what is the date on this? This is August 20, 2016. This is WikiLeaks to John Jr. A PAC-run anti-Trump site, PutinTrump.org, is about to launch. The PAC is a recycled pro-Iraq war PAC. We have guessed the password is Putin Trump. That is pretty funny. See about for who is behind it. Any comments? Don Jr. Off the record, I don't know. I don't know who that is, but I'll ask around. Thanks. WikiLeaks, back to Trump. This is a quote. I believe they're quoting here Hillary Clinton saying, can't we just take out Julian Assange with a drone? I don't know, by the way, if this comment from Hillary has ever been confirmed.
Yeah, it was interpretation of what some people thought was a joke, and I think like some outlet was like, she could have been serious about it.
And again, look, this is where we're going to have to do a little bit of subtlety here. Hillary Clinton has an absolutely horrible record on surveillance, foreign policy, and militarism. Okay, I don't know if this. First of all, this comment. Exactly. Has never been cleanly reported. We don't exactly know what she said by it, and there was never any credible reporting whatsoever that the Obama administration or Hillary Clinton as Secretary of State was thinking about dropping a drone in the Ecuadorian embassy. So WikiLeaks sends this, and they say to Don Jr., "Hey, it'd be great if you guys could comment or on and push this story." This is what's so fascinating here is that Don Jr. is obviously an idiot. It's shockingly stupid, and I guess these have been totally verified in her reporting. That he would actually DM with them on Twitter is just fucking beyond me. But the other element of this, though, is it shows that there's this very weird naivete on WikiLeaks' part, that they would actually think that this family would do anything besides just benefit from them, and that they would ever follow through on any type of promise to protect them, implicit or otherwise, is kind of shocking. It's almost touching, almost touchingly naive on the part of WikiLeaks. Already did that earlier today. This is regards to the Clinton comment. It's amazing what she can get. Already did that earlier today. It's amazing what she can get away with. What's behind this Wednesday leak? I keep reading about it. That's Donald Jr. Hey, Donald, great to see you. And your dad talking about our publication. Strongly suggest that your dad tweet out this link to the mentions on, what is this? WL search.
I think it's one of their database, the leaks of, database.
You guys get all of your followers digging through the content. It may be that there's many great stories there that the press are going to miss, and you'll be sure that your followers will find it. Now, do we have, going forward, do we have the part about, there's also the, is that the one where he didn't respond, and then within 15 minutes, Trump tweeted out that there was going to be a big WikiLeaks dump? Okay, because there was another
the press
exchange.
wasn't reporting on it.
What?
That the press wasn't going to report on it.
But there was right. But there was one where they promised something and Trump said, and Trump Jr. didn't respond, but 15 minutes later, I believe, Donald Trump said there's going to be a big, just look that up. There's going to be a big release because the timeline looks very sketchy. Or the timeline, I should say, looks pretty obvious. And then the other one that people are focusing on is the fact that the WikiLeaks, during the day of the election, when it looked like Hillary would win and the polls were going to sort of come through, they said that Donald Trump should not concede and should talk about how the process was rigged. I don't know, man. I don't know what to say. Like, I would say don't be a useful idiot for WikiLeaks. And don't be so romantically attached to anybody in politics. Like, they served a useful function. I think that WikiLeaks totally, and it's important just even for case law, WikiLeaks is a press organization. Julian Assange should not be in prison for any type of journalism or story that he broke. I think he should go to Sweden and deal with that case, which in fact they've already dropped. And then, now just look at the reality. This was a pro-Trump organization. They wouldn't be DMing with him otherwise. By the way, we just this is also quite damning. This is WikiLeaks to Donald Jr. By the way, we just released the Podesta emails part 4. Hey, Don, we have an unusual idea. Leak us one or more of your father's tax returns. The benefits are this. Most of the harm has already been done by the New York Times and preempted by your father, tax write-downs. It's possible that at any moment they could come through the most biased source, e.g. the New York Times, MSNBC, who will distort them in the worst possible light. These are friendly political advisors. These are people who are helping frame a campaign. And a global whistleblowing and transparency organization is in active communication with one side of the corruption. Now, this is a far afield, but the woman who was murdered in Malta recently for working on the Panama Papers, she died in a car bombing. I've done more research into her. And, of course, this is a crime and a travesty, and the work she did was incredibly important. But in a domestic context in Malta, she was a partisan of one of the political parties. She was not exposing corruption on both ends, of which it certainly exists in Malta. So then you have to start to not dismiss the work. The Panama Papers and the corruption she exposes stands on its own. All of WikiLeaks' work that it has done, exposing corruption, civilian casualties, global U.S. warfare against civilians, stands on its own. And they clearly were partisan political actors in favor of a racist, neo-fascist, xenophobic bigot, and they were talking with his idiot son on Twitter. That's it. And there's no fucking denial in this. Back to WikiLeaks. If we publish all of them, it will dramatically improve the perception of our impartiality. That is the real kicker. That means that a vast amount of the stuff that we're pushing about Clinton will have a much higher impact because it won't be perceived of as coming from a quote-unquote pro-Trump, quote-unquote pro-Russian source, which the Clinton campaign is constantly slandering us with. Oh, really? You can email us to the office at wikileaks.org or use the secure submission system, wikileaks.org, #submission, or many other methods, e.g. lawyer to lawyer. That's what it is. That's what it is.
Love
folks.
it.
Love it.
Hi, folks. Sam Seder here. We still need your help on our Patreon page. YouTube ads have come back, but not nearly as much as we had before. So if you can help us out, any little bit helps. Head over to our Patreon page right at this URL, and you'll help us keep helping you by making videos